Hey, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to go over how you can add an extra 20% to your profit, not to revenue, to profit, and how you're actually supposed to optimize ad campaigns on Google, Meta, etc. when you're spending 10 to 30K or more a month on ads. So let's hop right into it. So this was just a newsletter email that I am sending out tomorrow, and it was so good that I thought, hey, we actually have to have a video made on this. All right, so let's just hop right through this newsletter. So here's the thing, right? Most brands optimize for first order profitability and just advertise any and all the products that produce a ROAS, right? At the start, that's fine, right? It's okay. You can just throw in all your products, see what works, see what sells, see what people like. That's fine, and that's what you should do. But once you start to see returns on products and you get a good idea of what's selling, what's not, and you start to have data and ROAS metrics on those, you need to further optimize. And usually that's when you're spending at least 10K or more a month. Of course, this depends on how much your product costs, right? But generally, when you're just starting to scale an account, when you're spending 10K or more in general, right? Because if you're selling $1,000 sofas, 10K is not a lot, but in general, again. So when you're spending that much, right, we need to optimize further, okay? And the reason for this is because not all customers are made equal, right? You have people that will literally only buy when you have a sale. You have people that buy every month, every 90 days, kind of like your whales, your core customer groups, etc., right? And the same is true for your products. So you can't really decide how the market reacts to your products. You always have products that do really, really well and some that just aren't that good, okay? And if you're a one product store, obviously this doesn't apply to you. So like, how does this really work? Well, some products that you sell are not only more or less profitable, right? Just due to the cost to make the product and fulfill it, right? But also, some products produce a larger or smaller lifetime value on a 60, 90, 180 day, whatever basis, right? So when people buy like a sampler kit from a brand, typically their lifetime value will be higher than if they just buy one thing from that sample kit initially, right? Simply because they try more variations of it and they know what they like and they can just order that with confidence. So the first product that someone buys as a new customer has a huge effect on the lifetime value, but also on like the short term value, which is really like the 30 to 60 to 90 day lifetime value range, right? So, when we're picking which products to advertise and when you're looking to scale an account and get a better return for your money, you need to find which products are bringing you not the best ROAS, but the most profit in 60 to 90 days, right? And again, the timeline that you look at for lifetime value, again, lifetime value is not actually lifetime, but the timeline that you look at for customer value generated in a specific frame is going to be dependent on your product niche and your sales cycle. So for example, if you're a Gucci, if you're a Louis Vuitton, if you're a luxury brand, obviously your sales cycle is going to be a lot longer. You should be looking at a longer time frame for this and for your lifetime value. If you have a cheaper product, more impulse buy product, you should be looking at a shorter term for lifetime value in this example. For this, we're just gonna be talking about 60 to 90 days, specifically 90 days, because the 3-month mark is a good time frame for e-commerce just to look at the return of capital. The standard is around 60, but I find that to be short for brands that are more in the luxury and premium niche, which we service more often, okay? So again, the question here is, what products produce the most profit, not revenue, within 90 days, okay? So again, not what product produces the highest return on ad spend, i.e. ROAS, which does not account for variable costs or short-term LTV produced, right? So we cannot just look at the ad account on a 30, 60, 90-day basis and say, hey, what's the ROAS on these products? Because that doesn't take into account nearly enough data. Number one, you could have a product with a 5x return, but it costs you 3 times as much to fulfill as another product. Or you could have a product that you have a low ROAS on, but it actually gets people in the door, such as a sampler pack, right? They're typically cheaper, but it gets people in the door, and then their lifetime value is actually higher than it would have been if they bought a different product. So we have to take into account, obviously, first order profitability, which is basically ROAS besides the profit, but we also need to take into account the COGS, the variable costs, the fulfillment, all that kind of thing for that product. And then also what that short-term LTV looks like. And in this example, again, I will be using 90 days, but that does depend on your niche and your product, right? So say a product, and this is just an example here, say we have product A that produces a 3x new customer ROAS and product B that produces a 2x new customer ROAS. And it's a similar product, their costs are similar, right? Which one would you cut in the ads manager on like Google or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok? Doesn't matter. Which campaign would you cut if you have both these products, right? You'd be more likely to cut product B because you're like, this is not as profitable. If I want to make the most out of every dollar, I should be putting more spend into product A, right? No, that's actually wrong. Because in this case, right, if customer B's customers, right, if these people on average order a second time in 90 days, and product A's customers do not order a second time in 90 days, your effective ROAS for product B is actually a 4x. So that 4x, of course, beats the 3x and is way higher than we thought initially at that 2x return for product A. So why does this happen, right? And if we just break down the costs here, we can see, okay, first order profitability, product A is more profitable again with that 3x return, 23 made versus 15 minus the COGS. But because we have that person returning just for a second order, nothing crazy, they just bought again for a second time within 90 days. Now our second order profitability, again, just minus COGS, is $40. This is 0. So in total, we actually end up in profit, right, gross profit before fixed costs at 55 instead of 23. So our effective ROAS, if we're to tie it back in, would be a 4x for product B and a 3x for product A. And this is why you cannot just look at ROAS. You have to not only look at lifetime value within a specific time frame which you set based on your niche, but you also have to, again, look at the variable cost to understand what is your actual profit at the end of the day, okay? So of course, this is a simple example and a little bit extreme, but when you are at scale and you're spending a lot, the profit and ROAS gained in even a small 90-day LTV delta or difference is drastic. So even if this, instead of ordering a second time, was even just ordering a product that was half as much as the first purchase, it would still have a huge impact on how you treat it in the ads manager. And that's the main point here, is to be more well-informed in what's actually generating you more profit, not revenue, not ROAS at the end of the day, okay? And again, note this is not only true for products, but also for offers and promotions. Again, just like products, offers, and promotions bring different kinds of customers in. And when people come in for different offers, promotions like free gift, a sale, whatever it may be, store credit, the lifetime value of that customer will be different that you acquired through that promotion or offer, simply due to the fact that it attracted a different kind of person and it incentivizes different behavior. And by maybe getting a different product than they would have, their lifetime value now looks different. So you have to measure these things, okay? So at the end of the day, let's figure out what products you should be advertising in order to generate the most amount of profit and new customers each month, right? Since that's pretty much always the goal when it comes to e-commerce ads, right? And this is also known as gross profit per SKU. Shout out to Taylor Holiday and all those guys at CTC. This is pulled right from there. And really what this looks like is just taking your 60 to 90 day LTV, whatever your timeline looks like. Again, 60 to 90 days is typically the standard. Taking that lifetime value contribution margin, so really just like the gross profit over a matter of time for a per product basis, and then multiplying that by the volume sold. So to calculate this gross profit per SKU, again, so just how much you're actually keeping before fixed costs when you sell a particular product. Again, all we have to do for this is just take our product LTV in 90 days minus our variable costs. That will get us our SKU or product contribution margin. So to get the product LTV in 90 days, again, we just need to measure what kind of LTV we get when someone buys this product on a rolling 90-day time frame, right? Again, subtracting variable costs, so COGS, fulfillment, payment processor, and we will also include the acquisition cost within this, and then that's just going to equal our contribution margin per SKU, right? So our 90-day lifetime value contribution margin, again, just for a particular product. And then we're just going to multiply that by the volume that was sold, by the number of those products that were sold in that time frame. Again, just a multiplication here, and then we get our gross profit per SKU. Super simple, right? And note that the reason we have the volume here is because while products may have a great contribution margin, if there's not enough sales volume, like it doesn't matter. You can't scale it if there's simply not enough demand there. So how does this actually play out? I'll show you an example. So here we took a luxury brand and plotted their products from the last 90 days with the gross profit per SKU. So each of these, again, we did this multiplication here where we did these two equations, and we simply just got the amount of gross profit, again, the profit you're taking before fixed costs on a per product basis in 90 days, including COGS, including acquisition costs, including everything that had to do with just getting that sale, again, before fixed costs. And as you can see, it's a huge difference. So we just named these products to retain the integrity of this brand, but essentially you can see that product one far outdid even product two at like around 5,000 in gross profit. And then going down to product 10, which is only a few products away, this is down to like 2,300, 2,250 in the gross profit per SKU. So, this is really important to know, because now we say, hey, if we want to maximize the spend for every dollar, we should only be focusing technically on product one, right? Or maybe product two or product three. And of course, other things play into this, but we should be aware of the fact of, if you truly want to maximize your ad dollars, this is the way that you do it. You have to look at that longer lifetime value minus the COGS, minus the variable costs that go into it to get that, again, pretty much contribution margin per SKU, but also gross profit per SKU. Really the same thing here, okay? So as you can see, for product 1 to product 10, there's a huge drop in that 90-day profit of the product. So we should be prioritizing products here that produce the most 90-day contribution margin / gross profit if we want to make the most of our ad dollars, okay? So now you see it, you see how it kind of works out, right? And if you're spending more than 10K a month on ads and you want to make every dollar count and really want to maximize profit, you should start prioritizing spend not by ROAS, but by 90-day lifetime value contribution margin / gross profit per SKU, okay? Again, and this is because ROAS does not account for all the variable costs, nor the short-term LTV on a per product basis, right? So now we know how much this product is actually generating us in profit that we're keeping at the end of each month, again, before fixed costs, okay? So measuring this can be tricky, right? Because you have to understand your 60 to 90 day lifetime value on a per product basis. You have to understand your costs for those products. So your contribution margin, all your variable costs, of course, and then also track which products are being sold to new customers and all that kind of thing. So you do need some sort of software for this. We're partnered with Triple Whale, so I highly recommend that you try them out. A bunch of others that work well, Northbeam, Statless, there's a ton out there. There's so many, but Triple Whale is a great one that we use to capture all this data and to better understand how to optimize the ads. Okay, so yeah, that really wraps it up. But I hope that makes sense and shows you how calculating your ad account performance off ROAS and making decisions off ROAS when you're starting to scale is a bad idea. Because if we were to do that here, right, we would probably be optimizing for a lot of the wrong products. In this example, we would have cut the ads for product B, even though product B is giving us more lifetime value than product A. We're actually making more profit at the end of the day with it, even though in the ads manager, it doesn't look like it. So you have to look at the contribution margin and the gross profit per SKU to say, hey, if we want to maximize our ad dollars, these are the products we need to be spending on, and we need to be looking at different metrics other than ROAS, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions below. Otherwise, we will talk very, very soon. All right, bye-bye.